Welcome to my channel $T Valuable Coins. So get it started. Have you ever wondered if that old nickel or penny lying in your drawer could actually be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? Today, we are diving deep into four interesting coins: the 1974 Jefferson nickel, the 1991 Jefferson nickel, the famous 1944 wheat penny, and the classic 1957 wheat penny. Make sure you watch this video till the very end, because some of these coins could surprise you with their hidden value.
Most people look at a nickel and see just 5 cents. But what if I told you that some nickels from 1974 are worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars? In this video we are diving deep into the 1974 Jefferson nickel. We'll explore its history, mint marks, production numbers, rare errors, grading secrets, and the unbelievable prices collectors have paid at auction. Stick with me till the very end, because I promise, by the time we finish, you'll never look at a simple nickel the same way again. Designed by Felix Schlag in 1938. Obverse portrait of Thomas Jefferson, 3rd U.S. President. Reverse Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home. The 1974 nickel continued this classic design, but collectors care about strike quality and mint variations. This coin came out in the middle of the 1970s, during an era when coinage demand was huge due to inflation and economic changes. The 1974 nickel was produced at 3 major mints. Philadelphia, no mint mark over 601 million struck. Denver, D mint mark over 277 million struck. San Francisco, S mint mark proof coins. Only about 2.6 million minted. So in total almost 900 million nickels were made that year. With such a huge supply, most are common, but the value changes dramatically depending on condition and errors. Circulated nickels, still 5 cents. Average condition uncirculated, 25 cents to $2. But in the highest grades, 1974 Philadelphia full steps sold for over $2,000. 1974 AD full steps sold for nearly $1,500. Proof nickels from San Francisco, a perfect deep cameo Confitus, $1,000 or more. On the reverse, Monticello has steps leading up to the building. If all the lines of the steps are clearly struck with no breaks, it earns the designation full steps. These are very rare because most nickels strike weakly in that area. Collectors pay extreme premiums for full step nickels, especially in high mint state grades. Example: a coin worth just 5 cents in circulation could jump to thousands in pristine full steps condition. Double die obverse DDO, doubling in the words "In God We Trust" or Jefferson's features. Double die reverse DDR, doubling on Monticello's details or inscriptions. Off-center strikes, coins struck off-center, sometimes 5% to 50% off. Value, $50 to $500 depending on severity. Clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin's edge is missing, can sell for $100 plus. Die cracks and cuds, raised lines or blobs of metal caused by worn dies, often $20 to $200 plus. Proof errors, S mint, rare misstrikes or double strikes on proof coins can bring thousands. Compared to nickels from earlier years, like 1939 or 1950 AD, the 1974 nickel seems common. But compared to modern nickels 2000s, it's far scarcer in full steps condition. Collectors often build full Jefferson nickel sets, so every year is needed if your 1974 nickel is top grade. It fills an important slot in those collections. Think of it this way: 99.9% of 1974 nickels are pocket change, but the top 0.1% are treasures. 1974 MS-67 full steps sold for $2,232 at Heritage Auctions. 1974 AD full steps $1,410. 1974 AS Deep Cameo $1,035. Rare error nickels from 1974 often sell between $100 and $500 depending on rarity. So, what's the lesson here? A 1974 Jefferson nickel can be worth 5 cents or $2,000. It all comes down to condition, full steps, and rare mint errors. Next time you see a nickel from 1974, don't ignore it, check it carefully. You might just be holding a hidden treasure. Next, 5 cents 1991 D. Before we zoom in on the 1991 D, let's quickly revisit the Jefferson nickel series. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It was designed by Felix Schlag, a German-born American sculptor. The obverse front of the coin features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third U.S. President and author of the Declaration of Independence. Shows Jefferson's Virginia home, Monticello, a beautiful neoclassical mansion that remains an iconic piece of American architecture. Over the decades, the Jefferson nickel has gone through some design updates, but the 1991 D still carries the classic pre-2004 design with Monticello on the reverse. Now let's talk specifically about the 1991 D Jefferson nickel. The D mint mark tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado. Mintage: around 626 million nickels were produced at Denver in 1991, which is a very large number. Composition: like other nickels of its era, it is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. Weight 5 grams. Diameter 21.2 millimeters. Edge plane, no reeds. So in terms of physical characteristics, nothing too unusual. But what makes this coin stands out as the conditions, varieties, and error coins we'll talk about in a moment. Since more than 500 million nickels were struck at Denver that year, most 1991 D nickels are extremely common in circulated grades. If you find one in your pocket change, it's usually only worth face value 5 cents. However, collectors always look for high-grade examples, meaning coins that have survived over 30 years with little or no wear. Coins graded MS-65 and above mint state can sell for several dollars. The higher the grade, the sharper the details and the more valuable the coin becomes. In fact, the record price for a 1991 D Jefferson nickel in pristine condition has reached over $1,000 at auction for top-graded examples. Here's where things get exciting. Because error coins from 1991 are what really attract collectors. Some of the known and valuable errors include off-center strikes if the design is not properly centered, parts of the coin can look missing depending on how far off it is. Values can go from $20 to $200 or more. Double dies. Some nickels from 1991 show doubling on the lettering, particularly on In God We Trust or Monticello. These are highly collectible. Clipped planchets. A coin that was struck on an incomplete blank planchet, leaving a crescent-shaped clip. These can be worth $50 plus. If Monticello's steps are fully struck and clearly separated, the coin gets a special full steps designation from grading services. These are much rarer and can sell for $50 to several $100s, depending on the condition. Die cracks and cuds. Sometimes the minting dies break slightly, leaving raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin. These errors are fun to collect and can bring premium prices. So, if you're checking your 1991 nickels, always look closely for these varieties, because they can turn a 5-cent coin into something far more valuable. Let's break down the current market value for the 1991 Jefferson nickel. Circulated condition 5 cents face value. Uncirculated MS60, MS64 $1 to $5. High grade $10 to $40. Superb gem $200 to $500. Auction record MS67 with full steps over $1,000. Errors, of course, can bring even more, depending on rarity and demand. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know if my 1991 nickel is special? Here are some quick tips. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to check for doubling, full steps, or die cracks. Check the condition. If it looks uncirculated, it may be worth sending to a grading service. Look for mint errors. Even small misstrikes can make a coin valuable. Compare with online images of known varieties before assuming it's rare. If you suspect you have a valuable one, consider sending it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading. So, to wrap it all up, the 1991 Jefferson nickel may not seem rare at first glance. After all, hundreds of millions were made. But in the world of coin collecting is all about condition, rarity, and errors. A common nickel from pocket change may only be worth 5 cents, but a pristine or error variety can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So next time you come across a nickel from 1991 with a little D mint mark, don't just spend it, give it a close look. Who knows? You might just have a hidden gem in your collection. Next one. Cent 1944 coin. Before focusing on the 1944 penny, let's rewind a bit. The Lincoln cent was first issued in 1909, replacing the Indian head cent. It was designed by Victor David Brenner and featured Abraham Lincoln to celebrate the centennial of his birth. The reverse carried 2 wheat ears, which gave the coin its nickname, the wheat penny. These wheat cents were minted from 1909 to 1958. The coin became instantly popular, and millions of Americans started saving them. Now, by the time 1944 rolled around, the U.S. was still in the middle of World War II, and that had a big impact on our coins. The year 1944 is especially interesting in penny history. In 1943, due to wartime shortages of copper, the U.S. Mint struck pennies in zinc-coated steel instead of copper. These steel cents looked silver and often confused people. They also rusted quickly and jammed vending machines. By 1944, the mint went back to using copper, but not ordinary copper instead. Many of the 1944 pennies were made from recycled shell casings from the war. That's right, the brass from spent ammunition was melted down and used to make these coins. So, in a way, every 1944 penny carries a little piece of American history from World War II. Let's look at the numbers. In 1944, pennies were struck at 3 different mints. Philadelphia Mint No mint mark about 1.4 billion coins. Denver Mint D mint mark about 430 million coins. San Francisco Mint S mint mark about 282 million coins. That means over 2 billion wheat pennies were made in 1944, making it one of the highest mintage years ever. So, if you have a 1944 penny, chances are it's common. But here's the twist: not all 1944 pennies are created equal. This is where the real money comes in. Collectors love error coins, and 1944 is full of them. 1944 steel penny. Remember, steel cents were only supposed to be made in 1943. But a few steel planchets accidentally got stuck in the minting machines and were struck in 1944. These are extremely rare, only a few dozen are known. Value $75,000 to over $200,000. Depending on condition. 1944 ED/S over mint mark. Some Denver Mint pennies show an S mint mark punched under the D. These rare over mint mark coins can bring $50 to $1,000 depending on condition. Some 1944 cents show doubling on the words Liberty or In God We Trust. A strong doubled die can be worth hundreds of dollars. If the coin design is not properly centered, part of it may be missing. Depending on how far off, these can sell from $20 up to $200 plus. A clipped planchet looks like a coin with a bite taken out of it. Die cracks and die breaks can leave raised lines or blobs of metal. These errors are fun to collect and often worth $10 to $100 plus. So if you have a 1944 penny, always check for these rare varieties. Now, let's break down the value. Regular 1944 copper pennies. Circulated, worn 3 to 10 cents. Uncirculated, MS60, MS64 $1 to $10. High grade $20 to $200. 1944 S San Francisco Mint. Similar range, but slightly more valuable. In high grades. 1944 ED Denver Mint. Again, mostly common but with full red and high-grade examples. Values can climb. Rare varieties. 1944 steel penny, $75,000 to $200,000 plus. 1944 ED/S over mint mark, $50 to $1,000 plus. Strong double dies, $100 to $500 plus. So while most 1944 pennies are common, the rare ones can change your life financially. If you want to check your pennies, here's what to do. Look for the mint mark under the date. No mark Philadelphia D. Denver S. San Francisco. Check the metal if your 1944 penny sticks to a magnet, it's steel not copper, and potentially worth thousands. Examine with magnification, use a 10x loop to look for doubling or mint mark errors. Check condition, shiny red, uncirculated pennies are worth much more. Compare with auction results, look up recent sales to see what collectors are paying. So, to wrap it all up, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny is one of the most fascinating coins in the U.S. history. Most are common and only worth a few cents. But rare varieties like the steel penny or the D/S mint mark error can be worth hundreds of thousands, even over $100,000. That means every 1944 penny in your collection deserves a second look. You never know when you might discover one of the rarest coins hiding in plain sight. Last 1 cent 1957 coin. The 1957 penny belongs to the famous Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which was minted from 1909 to 1958. It was designed to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth in 1909. The wheat cent features 2 wheat ears on the reverse side, symbolizing prosperity and growth in America. By 1957, this design was already close to its end, since the Lincoln Memorial Cent replaced it in 1959. So the 1957 wheat penny is one of the last issues in this historic series. That fact alone makes it special to collectors. The 1957 penny carries the same iconic design by Victor David Brenner VDB portrait of President Abraham Lincoln facing right. The motto "In God We Trust" above. The word "liberty" to the left. The year 1957 to the right, with a mint mark if present. 2 wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent. United States of America in the center. E pluribus unum above. This classic wheat design is why collectors often call these coins wheat pennies. The 1957 wheat penny was minted in 2 locations. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark. Mintage, about 282 million coins. Denver Mint with a D mint mark below the date. Mintage, about 1 billion coins. So overall, 1957 had one of the highest mintages of all wheat pennies. That means most of these coins are common in circulated condition. However, don't get discouraged, because errors, varieties, and high grades can still make them valuable. Composition: 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. Weight 3.11 grams. Diameter 19 millimeters. Edge smooth plain. This was the standard composition until 1982, when pennies shifted to mostly zinc. This is where it gets really exciting. Error coins can turn a common penny into something worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Some known 1957 penny errors include extra thickness or doubling visible on Liberty or In God We Trust. doubling on 1 cent or e pluribus unum, especially on 1957 D coins, where the D mint mark may look doubled or shifted. Part of the design is missing because the coin wasn't centered during striking. BIE error? A small die break between the letters B and E in Liberty, making it look like it says BIE. A portion of the coin's edge is missing. Collectors love these errors, and they can make a huge difference in value. Now, let's talk about the part everyone is in. Waiting for how much is a 1957 penny worth. Circulated condition common wear. Usually worth 2 to 5 cents. Uncirculated condition mint state. Value can range from 50 cents to $5, depending on the grade. High grades MS 65 and above can fetch $20 to $50 or more. Proof coins Philadelphia only. Specially made for collectors. Value $30 to several $100s, depending on condition. Error coins. Doubled dies RPMs or off-center strikes can range from $50 to several $1,000 depending on rarity. So, even though the 1957 penny is common, certain pieces can be highly valuable. The 1957 penny was one of the last wheat cents ever minted, just 2 years before the Lincoln Memorial reverse started in 1959. Billions were made, but collectors often keep them in bulk wheat penny rolls. Because of their copper content, these coins are worth more than face value, even as scrap metal. Always check the mint mark carefully for errors. Look for red-colored uncirculated coins. They are worth the most. Store them in coin flips or albums to protect the color and prevent damage. If you suspect an error, consider getting it graded by PCGS or NGC. So there you have the full story of the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny, from its rich history to its design varieties and potential value. This coin is truly a piece of American history. Do you have a 1957 penny in your collection? If yes, check it again. You might be holding a valuable treasure. If you enjoyed this deep dive into rare nickels and pennies, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss my next video on rare coins that could be hiding in your change. And tell me in the comments, which of do you have these coins in your collection? Maybe the $1 million penny is sitting in your pocket.